like the process of that? I mean, you just go there and like wait to see them like flying around. I mean, what's that? Like kind of set that scene up for me.
All right, we have 3 eagles' nests that are within an easy driving distance from Miami. We've got one that's 10 minutes from my house that Ron McGill at the Miami Zoo set up.
Yep.
And they're nesting now, so they all have chicks.
Mm-hmm.
So the parents are flying back and forth with food. So you'll go there, the eagles are there. The question is, are they going to be doing anything interesting?
Mm-hmm.
And usually the answer is no. If they're sitting on the nest and the other one's flying around doing something else. So you're hoping for something to come back with like a fish or a rabbit or something in its talons bringing food to the baby.
Right.
That's the best thing. Then with the Miami eagles, there's a dead tree right next to them. So sometimes they'll leave the nest and fly over to the dead tree. And that's pretty good because then you get them landing and get them hopping around from branch to branch. And the whole trick is getting them to do something interesting.
Right.
Otherwise you got bird looking left, bird looking right.
Right. Is there any way to like entice that? I mean,
no, not
really.
with the eagles. They're way high up.
Yeah.
Nest is far away. You're not allowed to go within 100 yards of an eagle nest or something.
Right.
So there's nothing to do to make them more exciting. The owls, we have barred owls down in the Everglades, and they see people and they sort of like fly over to see what you're doing and stuff. Then they're fairly common on this one road.
Yeah.
And they'll fly from tree to tree, and the trick is getting them flying right towards you so that you get their face, because the owls are cool. They're just a flying face with a couple of wings sticking out of it.
Right.
But it's neat.
Those osprey shots when they're coming right at you are cool like that too.
Ospreys, yeah, especially with the ospreys diving for fish.
Right.
Like we're going from here, we're going up to Sebastian Inlet. Spent a couple of mornings trying to find some ospreys that are cooperating.
Yeah.
Last couple of times I've been up there and nothing's happened. There hasn't been an osprey, hasn't been anything going on.
You remember those? Man, I'm sure you do. Remember those the way back when in the old drive down to the Keys? Not the way the drive down to the Keys is a lot different now than the way it used to be. But you used to see like all the tons of those eagle nests on those little wood poles that they have and everything. You don't really see as much. I don't know if you remember seeing that or not. I remember as a kid we used to like really cutely observant of it. My brother and I used to count them all the time.
Yeah. I don't remember seeing any eagle's nest on the road down to Flamingo, you mean?
No. Just straight down to like, just to Key Largo Drive and then all through Layton and stuff like that. We used to spot them all the time.
Yeah. There's lots of eagle nests around.
Yeah.
They just, most of them aren't really very good for photography. They're high up and you don't see anything.
Yeah.
And the best one we've got one up by the Miami Canal, up by Okeechobee. We've got 2 up there actually. Mm-hmm. And one is right across the canal. So you've got a really good, photo shoot of it. Straight across, you can see them coming and going from good distances.
Yeah.
So you get them flying. You're really looking for them to bring in either a stick to build a nest or food of some kind, or the 2 of them interacting together.
Yeah.
Females are always screaming at the males. So So what else is new?
It's just it's just animal nature, right?
Yes. Someone's always being bossed around.
Nothing new. So, all right, let me officially kick this hearing off. So, I'm going to welcome you to the Connected by Water podcast and everybody listening. So, we are fueled by our very good friends at Papa's PLR Rum, who remind you never to be a spectator. We are a Waypoint hosted podcast. You can find us there and also watch, listen, and do not forget to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Hit that like button, and please, we would love to hear from you in the comments or by email at sales@connectedbywater.com. Before we kick it off, we want to mention, because it's an outstanding program that we're involved with, we'd like to announce this week's Starbright Solutions do-gooder. Now, if anyone's listened to the show or paid attention to Starbright and everything they do for the do-gooder program, you know that every week we highlight someone that is a steward of our environment, is a conservationist, likes to just be responsible all around. And this week, we are going to honor Connected by Water's very own Nick DeSantis right here as our do-gooder of the week. And the reason that we're honoring Nick is because Nick does a really good job. He fishes down in Chokoloskee all the time on his Hells Bay Whipray. And when you go out fishing with Nick, he is always just uber conscious of just being environmentally and conservationally conscious of everything going on and making sure that everyone is doing what they're supposed to do down there and keeping their waters clean. And he is also a huge advocate for both our Connected by Water fight and everyone else's. We're the Captains for Clean Water and all the other organizations that we're involved with, and just being a voice for everyone out there as the sirens roll. It's pompano, so what can I say? So congrats, Nick. Right? You deserve it, buddy. So, all right. Also, if you have a do-gooder in your area, we want to hear from you, and you nominate them just by reaching out to us at Connect by Water, at Dennis Friel Art on Instagram, or at SEA Redwine, that's C Redwine, or at D Redwine Art, and just send us a message, any one of us, and we will get your do-gooder nominated. So today's guest is no stranger to the show. Right, our good friend Pat Ford. Last time you were here with Rufus, you guys were talking about all your Galapagos adventures, but we wanted to do another follow-up episode because we just felt like that would be a lot of fun, right?
The idea it was a lot of fun last time. I'm glad to be back here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no, it's an honor to have you. I mean, I've long admired you and your work and everything that you've done, and everything that you've contributed to in both this as an industry and as a culture to just South Florida fishing, and nothing for nothing, world-renowned, worldwide fishing, quite frankly, and everything that you've contributed to fly fishing and photography and just world records and just and the hunt of just being living and a living, breathing outdoorsman, like all together. So it's really just an honor to have you back in the studio. And we were talking a little bit about, before I did my whole spiel about the birds and the photography and all the different things like that. But you're kind of on a little bit of a road trip here, and you came up from Miami, you stopped here, just do a podcast, but you're on your way up to like the Gainesville area up through Sebastian. You said you're going to photograph some osprey, and you got more eagles to photograph up north, and you're going to do you're on the hunt for big bass, right?
Yeah, we're on a walkabout. I've got a couple of days with a guy called Bassman Rand up in Gainesville, and he gets the biggest bass I've ever seen. He's got a whole bunch of 14, 15-pound bass. Really knows his stuff. And I went up with him last year, and I got there like 2 days too late. He said all the beds were empty. The spawn was over, and I just missed it. So we set for 2 days this year. We got 2 days before the full moon, which he says is primo time. So we're hoping to go up there and get, a mega bass. Hope I get a story for Florida Sportsman out of it and stuff. But
that'd be great.
I'd love to get a 12, 13-pound bass. I've never seen one of those before. So
yeah, no, I have not caught a bass that large before.
We got some big ones in the lake right behind my house, but it's in February. Last February we caught a whole bunch of them. Peter Miller lives on the lake, and he got a 13-pounder. A couple of guys got 12, 11-pounders.
Really?
And another guy got a double of a 10.5 and a 9.5 right off my dock. And this was all in February, and I can't figure out why. There must be a spawn or something, but nobody seems to know why. Or
yeah, that's
specifically,
interesting.
it's a deeper lake, so you don't really see them on beds.
Right.
But we've got so many peacocks in there. If you're fishing shiners, you don't get many largemouths because the little baby peacocks, the 1 and 2 pounders, they just snarf them up as soon as they see them. So we were using those green sluggo worms and green lizards and stuff on little jig heads.
Yep.
That's where we caught all the big bass.
Yeah, you got to drop them down real deep. Just pop them off the bottom.
Bottom them.
Yeah.
I didn't catch any. Everybody else was catching them off my boat, my dock. And
you were just telling them all where they were, right?
Yeah, it was like, you should have seen what we caught. No.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good. But anyway, I'm hoping that Rand will get us some couple of big ones. We got 2 days.
I hope so too. I mean, that sounds like a great trip. I mean, it sounds like someone I need to go visit too. What do you think, Nick? You want to take a road trip up there to Gainesville and catch some lunkers?
Yeah, he's called Bassman Rand.
All right.
And he's on Facebook, and easily, if you Google Bassman Rand, you'll see a whole bunch of monster bass.
Cool.
Just unbelievable.
So, I mean, if anyone's listening to this, I mean, you want to follow up on Pat's trip here to see what they get, just hit him up on Instagram or Facebook. And,
yep. Don't worry, if I catch anything, it'll be on Facebook. So probably Instagram too.
Yeah. Definitely.
If I catch anything.
So what's up? You told me that there was a lake up there with like 30 eagles nests, though, right?
Yeah, I've got another friend named Dick Vinterrote. and he lives on a lake. He's got a pontoon boat. He's a photographer, professional photographer.
Right.
So he runs little photography mornings and afternoons where you get on the pontoon boat and drive around this lake. He's got something like 30 eagles nests on the lake. So you've got, that's, 60, 70 eagles floating around there.
Right.
And you can see them flying back and forth to the nests with fish and whatever. You could really see them diving, if you're lucky, diving and grabbing a fish, grabbing a bass or something out of the lake, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And once in a while, you get them interacting in the air, which is a mating practice or something where they'll hook talons and roll around and do all kinds of crazy stuff. That's what I'm hoping. It's fun going out with friends. We're all photographers.
Yeah.
We're all sitting there, talking and yapping and hoping the eagle does something interesting.
Listen, you've been on. All right. So we talked about this the other day. Like, just from my knowledge, you've probably been on as far as like a fish photographer. Let's just say that, right? You've been on probably more covers than anybody else has. I think, right? Just from
probably.
Probably, right? There's probably a very good safe thing to say, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
I really like covers.
Yeah. So you've been on like 300 plus covers.
Yeah.
Or something like that. All right. So you're an experienced photographer, right? Everybody knows that. Right? You got days where you're just like, okay, it's hit or miss, right? I'm not going to get a lot of eagles today, for example, like we just talked about. I mean, do you ever really find yourself like truly, just because you've been around the block so many times, truly going, I need that shot today. You get in that mode anymore, or you used to be like that?
Not
or
with,
what?
With fishing, yeah.
Yeah.
With fishing, you want to get a jumping tarpon, jumping sailfish, a jumping marlin. You want to get something spectacular action,
Yeah.
shot with fishing. If you go to Guatemala or the Galapagos or Costa Rica, you're going for a specific jumping fish, and you really want that jump. When, as a photographer with a fish, you need the fish to jump. He's got to be down sun. The sun's got to be at your back and on the fish. Otherwise, if you're shooting into the sun, the whole fish is just a black silhouette. They're no good. And then it's got to be sideways, because if it's jumping away from you, you've got the black back. It looks like an eel.
Right. Yeah. All
And
skinny,
if it's coming at you, it's just a belly. So you need, for a magazine cover, the magazine articles, you really need the fish to cooperate. It's got to jump down sun. It's got to jump sideways.
Right.
So you can get the coloring on it and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's got to be a frustrating endeavor at times, especially if the fish aren't biting. I mean,
Yeah, if you catch 2 or 3 fish a day.
yeah, and you got to make
A lot of them don't even jump.
right.
You get fishing, you get the whole thing, and they'll jump once, make a big run. They'll jump 300 yards away. The blue marlin are horrible for photography.
Why?
Well, they'll strike. They'll then greyhound 500 yards. Got to go boongity, boongity, boongity. And they're about a foot off the water. They're too far away real quick for photos. They'll sound, and then you'll pump them up for an hour, and they'll get up next to the boat. They're all brown. They lay on the side and say, okay, you win, take the hook out. They don't jump.
Right.
The black marlin are the best. Black marlin, their jumps are spectacular. They're just skyborne jumps. And then when you get them up close, even though they're tired, the mate gets on the leader. That fish will jump 15 times on the leader while the boat's backing down and the mate's holding it. It just goes up and down and up and down. Spectacular pictures. They're my favorite fish.
The black marlin.
Black marlin. But yeah, they only get them at Tropic Star though.
Right.
That's, and lots of times, last couple of times I've been to Tropic Star, I haven't even seen a black marlin. I got blues, but
Oh, really?
yeah. But the blacks are hard to come by,
Yeah.
especially if you want one.
Are they? I mean, do you find that the black marlin are decreasing or increasing, like at all? I mean, the population-wise. I mean,
No, I have no idea.
No.
I mean, I know the best place, unless you go to Australia or New Zealand or someplace really cool,
Right.
the best place to catch a black marlin is Tropic Star.
Yeah.
It's, it's a magnificent lodge. They've got a lot of blue marlin. They've got a lot of black marlin. They've got mahi that are unbelievable. A 40-pound mahi down at Tropic Star is a pest.
Right.
They hate them. They go out in the morning, and first thing you do is catch bait. So you catch these 5 to 10 pound bonitas or tunas, put them in these tuna tubes, And they only have like 6 or 8 tuna tubes on the boat. So you get 6 or 8 baits. You got them stuck in the tuna tubes. Then you run out to wherever you're going to fish. And they bridle the live bait, and they slow troll live baits. Well, a mahi will come up. The bait's 10 pounds. It's too big for the mahi to eat, but the mahi doesn't know that because they're sort of aggressive.
Right.
So it'll kill it. Well, the mates, they don't want to waste time on mahi, no matter how big they are. And they don't want the mahi killing the bait, so if one comes up, they'll immediately pull the bait away from it as fast as they can, get it in. And people run away from 40-pound mahis.
Yeah.
There was a friend of mine was down here one November, and they had a couple of groups that were at the lodge. And they decided they were going to have a mahi tournament because everything else was sort of slow. So they said, all right, everybody put $100 in a kitty. Biggest mahi wins it. So my guys went out and fishing for 15 minutes. They got the biggest mahi they had ever seen. It was like enormous. So they just dumped it in the boat and said, okay, we're going marlin fishing.
Right.
This is in the bag. The fish weighed 65 pounds. Came in fourth.
Come on.
Came in fourth. Fourth. 65-pound mahi came in fourth.
That's a big mahi.
You think?
Wow.
You think I wrote a story.
What was the biggest one?
72 or something
70,
like that.
yeah.
Some god-awful amount. I mean, these are freak fish. They're just so big. I did an article for Angler's Journal or one of the magazines just a little while ago. I think it was Angler's Journal. And I said, if you want to catch a world record mahi, how do you do it? You go to Tropic Star.
Right.
And you just fish baits with no hooks in them and just have them tease the mahi in just like you would a marlin. The mahi don't tease well. They sort of try to kill it. And if they can't, they go away. But at least you can get them coming up on the baits, the big live baits, and then throw a fly at them.
Yeah.
And if they're sighted enough, as soon as they see the fly, they'll hit it.
You catch a lot of mahi on fly? Or
Yeah,
have you caught a
Oh
lot?
yeah, I've caught a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my biggest is like 38, 39 pounds
Nice.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was in Cozumel a bunch of years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll take a mahi on fly any day. They're beautiful fish. They jump, they fight.
I love catching mahi.
Yeah,
It really is a great fish.
The big ones are extinct in Florida. I mean,
Right.
I don't know anybody that's had one.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on around here, man.
They're all
it's
little.
a rare breed now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A friend of mine down, Hunter Ledbetter down in Key West, he entered one of the mahi tournaments last spring or last summer, I guess, and he won it. He had a 16-pound mahi. He won the whole tournament with a 16-pound
Come
mahi.
on.
Yeah.
We did that once. It was, I don't know, man, maybe 10 years, maybe more. We fished at Fort Pierce, like some meat tournament up there, and the junior on the boat caught an 11-pound mahi. And we're like, oh, let's weigh it. Maybe it's a weigher. We'll see. Maybe you'll take junior for the category. He won the whole mahi category with that fish.
Yeah. I
11
don't know
mahi.
I don't know where all the big ones have gone, but
Yeah.
back in the day, we used to get 20, 30 pounders fairly regularly.
Yeah.
I was out with Trossett years ago, and we were mahi fishing, and we found a pair, and we caught the female on a bait, and the other one followed it in, the male. And we got the female in and hooked the male on fly next to it, and then got the female in. We fought the male for like almost an hour. It wasn't me; it was the other guy I was with, and the rod broke in half.
Yeah.
And he just, he gave up. The rod broke, and he just gave up. Didn't try to fight it with the broken rod. He just gave up on it and popped it off. The female was 38 pounds. The male that he'd hooked had to be close to 50.
Yeah.
And it was like, RT was going bananas with it. Just, it's the biggest mahi, and it's on fly and everything else. So it's a superb fish. I love catching mahi.
Yeah.
But I don't know wherever else. They get some big ones down Isla Mujeres, but they're sort of not as regular as Tropic Star.
Yeah,
Tropic
I hear
is just
with the stories about
sick.
Tropic Star. I know Maya keeps trying to get me down there.
Yeah, you got to go on one of Mike's trips.
So we're going to try to get down there this year. Again, in one of his September trips. And
yeah, I tried to sneak in on those too. So
yeah, he keeps saying, "Oh, you got to come, you got to come, you got to come." There's always something that I had going on that I could, for whatever reason. You look back on it now, and you can never remember the reason why, and that's the reason you should go.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So,
exactly.
I don't know. Have you, Carlene? You ever been down to Tropic Star? No.
Short conversation.
Yeah. Not at all. So anyway, I'm dying to go.
It's a great place. It's expensive, but it's like a 5-star hotel in the middle of the jungle. Food is spectacular. The rooms are unbelievable, and their boats are most of their boats are 32 Bertrams or 31 Bertrams. It's like the secret graveyard for 31 Bertrams.
Sounds like my front yard.
Yeah, exactly. And but they're all down there.
True, by the way.
And they have the same boats. They have the same engines, the same parts.
Yeah. Because
it's so hard to get anything in there to fix anything. If it breaks, you can't start looking for parts.
Right.
You got to have they completely rebuild an engine overnight. If you come in and have a boat's have a problem, they'll run it up on a ramp.
Right.
Wait for the tide to go out. Get in there, pick the whole engine out, put another one in, and things
like
good
NASCAR.
to go in the morning. Yeah. They all got it done. They got a couple of real boats now, but those Bertrams are just the workers. They just putz around and they just catch fish.
Well, those are just marlin boats. I mean, you could turn them on a dime, and just easy to back down and all that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's a well thought out operation down there because maintenance is more important than the fishing.
Yeah.
If your boat don't work, you're not going to catch any fish.
Yeah, I hear the hospitality down there is like phenomenal. I mean, I've met all the people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All the different events that we do and everything like that, and it, that definitely shows. So
that's a spectacular place.
Yeah. So last time you were here, we were talking about a lot of the underwater photography that you do, with the sharks and different things like that. I mean, do you do a lot of like billfish jump-ins and stuff like that too? Like when you go like a marlin, like you jump in the water in the open sea.
Oh
yeah,
I do that. We go to Magdalena Bay. I've been there about 4 times. I'm probably not going back. I've sort of like beat it to death. But Magdalena Bay, you get the striped marlin on the bait balls.
Yeah,
and that's spectacular. It's just we can fish. I have fished, but the fishing is so anticlimactic compared to jumping in the water with a bait ball with a dozen striped marlin around it and a couple of sea lions and stuff like that. It's just spectacular to watch them, the interaction. I mean, the bait will run over and hide around the snorkelers.
Right.
They'll hide around it. You'll be in the middle of the bait, and the next thing you know, the bait will clear, and there'll be a marlin coming straight at you.
Oh.
And they come right by, but they'll swerve off because they don't. They don't poke you. They know where their bill's going.
I mean, have you ever had any close calls, like where you're just like, man, that almost really,
They come right at you, and the bait goes, and there's a 150-pound marlin coming right at you, and then goes to the side and goes by. And down, we did the same thing down Isla Mujeres down in Mexico,
right,
years ago. There used to be the same thing with sailfish. They'd be on the bait balls. Lately, the last 10 years maybe, the bait balls have been so inconsistent. I mean, you can find them, but sometimes they're 20 miles off, which is great. Now, the next day they'll be 50 miles off.
Right.
And there's no real pattern to where they're going to show up. I had friends that used to call me and say, okay, the bait's in, the sailfish are balling the bait, get your butt down here. So I'd jump in a plane the next day and come down. I'd still miss it. Oh, now they're 50 miles off, the wind's blowing 30. We're in a 34-foot boat. We can't do it. So it sort of petered out. But we had some great times. I did a TV show with Jimmy Nelson years ago, 10 years ago, or 11 years ago down there, and we had a bait ball all for ourselves. We were in the water 45 minutes with a giant ball of bait and about 20 sailfish that were just swimming around eating it.
Come on.
Yeah, that was spectacular.
That sounds like magic.
I literally grabbed a bait and handed it to a sailfish. It took it out. It took it out of my hand. I couldn't believe it.
I'm more impressed with you were able to grab the bait.
Well, it was somebody whacked it. The way they hunt, they'll circle it and.
Okay, I'm just thinking like you just like went into the.
They have
a bait ball and grabbed the live bait.
Pretty much. I mean, the bait's all around you because it's hiding around you. So they. I'm trying to picture this in my mind. You've got the sailfish come up and they'll go in and they'll whack a whole bunch of baits, and the baits will be stunned, so they're sort of twittering, and then the sailfish will come around. And there's a pecking order because one sailfish will go feed, and the others won't bother it.
Right.
And then it'll move back, and then the next one will go in. So it's all a rotation of the fish. But I think they must have whacked it because, like you say, it's a little hard to grab a bait out of the middle of the water. But whatever it was, I got one, and the sailfish were swimming around me, and I just sort of held it out in my hand, wiggled it, came right up, took it right out of my hand.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, that had been a cool feeling.
Yeah, it was like, this is really freaky.
Of all the places you've been to, like where would you say has like the most abundant population of sailfish? Would it be like Isla? I mean,
well, if you
that changes
Atlantic,
obviously because they
Isla.
migrate. But
Atlantic,
yeah.
it's Isla in the winter, but Guatemala is the place. Casa Vieja Lodge or Brad Phillips's Guatemalan billfish adventures are the two best that I go to.
Right.
And that can be just off the charts spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no bait balls, but there's just a million sailfish. And you can raise 30, 40 sailfish a day. And they're huge. They're 80 to 120 pounds. And
the big Pacific Sea,
and
sure.
they tease up. It's mostly fly fishing. But so you can tease them. They tease right up to the boat, and they'll practically stick their nose in the exhaust pipe. They're like, "Where's the food?" You throw a fly in, and they'll hit it. And the fight is good. They don't fight forever. It's not like hooking a marlin where you can kiss away the next hour and a half. They're 15, 25-minute fights, jumping, and for photography, the sailfish on fly are much better because you hook them 30 feet behind the boat. Mm-hmm. They start jumping 30 feet behind the boat. They're fresh. They're all lit up, and you get them tail walking back and forth. When you're fishing,
I love that when a sail first hooks up, the way they dance.
Yeah,
I always think that's one of the most beautiful things you could see on the water.
It's spectacular, and especially with these new cameras that shoot like 15, 20 frames a second. Mm-hmm. If everything falls together, you'll have like 10 great shots out of one jump.
Yeah,
and it really works out well.
That's great. So I want to switch gears on you real quick. So I was thinking about something the other day that I recently read is that I don't know the percentages, but I know the percentages are great, right? So they said the percentage of people that actually were fly fishermen in America before the movie A River Runs Through It came out were extremely low, right? And then after the movie came out, skyrocketed, like some 600,000% more fly fishermen across it. It did wonders for the entire industry, right? Mm-hmm. You are among that low percentage of people that were fly fishing before A River Runs Through.
True,
right? A pioneer in your own right when it comes to this area, and I really want to discuss this with you greatly. You moved here, what was it, 1971, I think it was, down in Key West. You were in the Navy?
Navy sent me to Key West in 1971. Mm-hmm. And I was the legal officer for the Naval Air Station down there. So I'd like died and gone to heaven.
Sure.
It was like, I never seen it. I was from New Jersey, New York, and then I was in Pensacola for 2 years. Fishing in Pensacola is pretty good inshore. And offshore, you got to run a long ways. But I didn't have a boat.
Got that clean water up in Pensacola, crystal clear.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the fishing was very good. Then I kept reading about all, John Emery, Al Pfluger, and all these guys catching all these fish in Key West in their fancy boats. I remember reading that Al Pfluger or Jim Lopez or somebody had just built a custom formula, 23-foot formula, customized it, center console for sport fishing, and it was the Rolls Royce of boats at that time. Cost him $10,000, and everybody said, "Oh my God, who can pay that much for a boat?"
Wow,
you can't get an engine for $10,000.
That's gas to the Bahamas now, right?
Yeah. So I remember doing that, and I called up my detailer and said, "Hey, if you ever get an opening in Key West, I'd like to go." Well, nobody wants to go to Key West. If you don't fish and you're in the Navy stuck in Key West, you're dead. Mm-hmm. It's just horrible. And so they jumped it. And next thing you know, I got transferred to Key West and spent 2 years there. And Miami was the first point of civilization north, so I stopped. Started my law practice there. Mm-hmm. So I used to have a condo in Key West. I go back and forth. Yeah. The whole time. So I'm still going back and forth.
When did you really start picking up a fly rod back then?
When I first got there, I did a little fly fishing, but not much.
Yeah.
I caught a couple of tarpon on fly. Back then, the best fly rod was a Fenwick glass rod, which was like a noodle compared to what we're using today. The only good reel was a Seamaster, which were way out of everybody's price range. And so I had some. I remember a Shakespeare reel, a big Shakespeare reel or a Pfluger reel, and a couple of fly rods and stuff. I did bonefish. Yeah. Bonefish and tried for permit and stuff on the flats. But the tarpon, I never got the tarpon bug. I caught a couple. But you really need a guide. You really need somebody on the back of the boat that knows where the fish were yesterday, that can pull you around and set you up, put you in position. It's really hard to fly fish if you've got some of your buddies on the boat because they don't know how to pole it. They don't know how to, position it. They don't know how to get spot the fish, and you're trying to do it all from the bow and then catch them. It just didn't work. So I burnt out of that real quick. I caught a couple and said, okay, that's nice. But I was really more interested in the wreck fishing. Mm-hmm. Because that back then there was only 2 or 3 guys that could get to the wrecks. Bob Montgomery was the guide. Some of the guys like A.M. Tyler and Jim Lopez and Al Pfluger from Miami knew where they were. But you had to find these wrecks by compass course, RPM, and a stopwatch. It kept the riffraff off them. Mm-hmm. I mean, you would run from the last buoy in Northwest Channel to Smith Shoal, and you'd time it. You'd go around, take your circle, you get it like 4,000 RPMs, and you'd hit that thing, put your stopwatch, and go to Smith Shoal, and then stop it.
Yeah.
And then you would multiply that boy by 3.14. I think that was what it was. And then you would go 005 degrees at whatever the time was, 25, 29 minutes or something like that, at the same RPM. And if the water conditions changed, you had to stay at that same RPM. So lots of times we were half airborne when we're making these runs because the sea's picked up and we're still going at 4,500 RPMs or something. And then you'd throw a marker and you go looking for the wreck. But you'd find the wreck because you'd see a big pot of cobia on the surface, or you'd turn around behind your boat and there'd be 30 cobia following you around, saying, hey, you got any food? It was amazing. We'd chum on the wrecks. You'd get 5-6 pound mangrove sapper would come right up to the surface and hang right in your chum line behind the boat. Big amberjacks, cobia, all kinds of stuff.
God, I remember those old days of fishing on the Keys. It was just like you couldn't miss.
Oh, it was spectacular. And then Loran C came out in 1980, give or take. I think we're pretty much sure it's around 1980. And then we got to go to wrecks that we couldn't do the running from. Mm-hmm. If you found a wreck out there, if you found a shrimper on a wreck or something like that, you could punch in the numbers, you'd have it forever. So they found, R.T. Trossett and Delph and myself and a few other guys. They talked to all their shrimpers. I had a law office down there, so I had a lawyer I was sharing space with that had a lot of shrimper clients. So part of their representation was, hey, you got your hang chart? We really want to see your hang chart. And they go, what do you want that for? So we just want to, can we see your hang chart? Sure enough. So we'd be taking down the numbers on everything and stuff because the Sherpers have to know where the wrecks are because they want to stay away from them.
Right.
So they've got these things marked, and they weren't really accurate, but they were close enough where you could go to those numbers and start looking around and doing some searching. We found all kinds of wrecks that nobody had fished.
Yeah.
Nobody had fished them, and it was insane.
So you're living in Key West, you move up to Miami, you start your law practice, you get settled in, right? But at some point you start becoming like this staple in, let's call it, the industry, right? Mm-hmm. And you start getting more involved in different tournaments and the different organizations that are going on. Take me through some of that. Take me through how you kind of went from just Navy guy, right, to casual fisherman,
to maniac,
to all in with all this.
Yeah. Well, they had the Met tournament back in the 70s and 80s. They had the Met tournament, and that was really popular. Everybody I knew participated in the Met tournament. I was in the Key West Anglers Club, and we would have outings with tropical anglers or something like that. So there was a lot of emphasis on catching fish on different lines, different tackle. It fly, spin, plug, and then general. And spin was 10-pound spin. The plug was 15-pound mono. Back then there wasn't any braid. It was all mono. And fly rod was a 12-pound tippet because that's all there was. And we'd have contests. Each fish would get a points system. And it would, it was challenging. It was competition.
Yeah.
You got to fish. You got to show off. You won something. Your ego got boosted. And you got a lot of nice fish that way because guys that you were fishing with were also into the same thing, and everybody learned from everybody else. So you got really good. I was pretty active in the Met. I won a lot of things in the Met. I set the Florida state record for sailfish on fly, which still holds.
Really?
Yeah, that was off Palm Beach back in 1980.
And what's the record?
55.5 pounds on a 12-pound tippet.
Nice.
But it was the largest sailfish taken on fly in Florida.
Right.
And
that holds today.
It holds today because nobody's catching sailfish on fly anymore, and they're not killing them.
Yeah.
But this was another strange thing because my friend Ron Hamlin, who's deceased, Ronnie was running a private boat out of Singer Island or someplace, Palm Beach. And I'd been trying for a couple of years to catch a sailfish on fly in Miami, but mostly with my friends that had boats in Stewart because there were a lot more sailfish in Stewart back then. And we were trying to tease them up like you do, but the Atlantics don't tease the same way the Pacifics do.
Right.
The Pacifics are dumber than rocks. They're like an amberjack with a point in their nose. They'll just keep coming at you. They'll run around when the bait's out of the way. They'll run around swimming in circles saying, where is it? The Atlantic come up, they'll make one pass, and if they don't get it, they'll lose interest and go away.
They're gone.
So they're really, really hard to tease. And if the timing between taking the bait away and putting the fly in has got to be really, really close.
Yeah.
So Hamlin said, we were talking in the Rod and Reel Club, and Ronnie said, have you caught your sailfish on fly yet in Florida? And I said, no, I caught some in Cozumel, but not in Florida. And he says, okay, well, this year we're going to do it. He says, you just be ready because I'm going to call you. I got a private boat. He lets me take people out. I'll call you. You got to be at the dock the next morning, and we'll go. So this was good. February 3rd, I get a call from Ronnie. He says, get your butt up here. They're balling the bait. He says that one boat caught 70 today or something like that. Mm-hmm. So we run up there. Mark Sossin was on the boat with me, and we all went out with Ronnie Hamlin looking for sailfish. We didn't see a sailfish until 1 o'clock.
Really?
And we're driving all around looking for these bait balls.
Oh my God,
supposed
you're
to be
probably
everybody.
thinking, this ain't happening today.
It's another wasted day. So finally around 1 o'clock, we saw a couple of fish, and I caught one on a spinning rod with a jig because it was 10-pound spin with an artificial. So I caught a 50-pound sailfish on that. And
were the seas okay that day?
The seas were terrible.
Yeah, so you're probably getting your ass kicked to boot, right?
Yeah. It was not a fun day. So we caught that one, and I'm going, well, at least I caught one on spin. And then about 2 o'clock or something, Ronnie says, all right, pull them in. We're going, somebody's found a bait ball. So we run about a half hour. We get to somewhere, and there's about 4 boats around this bait ball. So we back in, and they're all backed in. Bait ball's in the center, and their boats are all backed in around it. And they're all pitching baits in, and they're catching sailfish right and left. Mm-hmm. So we get in, I'm sitting there throwing a fly rod into this thing. And I hooked 5 fish on fly. Just free casting into the bait ball. It took a while. I figured out that you cast the fly, jerk it twice, then let it sit. And they'll think it's one they whacked, and they'll come up and just eat it. So that worked. A couple jumped off because they're hard to hook. And again, this is back in the day when there weren't any of these fancy tippets or anything else. It was a 12-pound tippet and a 100-pound shock tippet, for Christ's sake. So, I'm a top flies I tied myself for big bay fish patterns. And I hooked one up, got it hooked good, and it started dancing all around, and it went right across, and it cut me off cut my whole fly line off on somebody else's propellers that were right on the other side of the group. And it was another guy. It might have been Skip Dickerson. I don't know who. I can't remember exactly who, but I know he's in the Run Reel Club, and they knew what I was doing.
Right.
And they felt so bad that their boat cut my fish off. The next one I hook up, all the boats just took off. Just gave me distance, so I caught it. Yeah, it was really nice. They all just left, and I fought the fish in. We caught it and everything else, and it was one of my best catches ever.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
And they came back fishing, but it was a good day.
But
it took me 2 years to catch that fish at trying, so it wasn't like you stumble into it or anything.
No, I mean, it's hard work, man. That's good.
Well, you got to be lucky too. I mean, there's luck's place.
Preparation meets opportunity.
Preparation,
my friend.
yes, it's preparation, but the luck you should still because we hadn't seen a fish until 1 o'clock and I'd pretty much written a day off. So when you're hot.
It's funny you bring up the Met, and we've had quite a few guys on the show, bringing up the Met, and just how great of a time that was. And I mean, even when we had Rob Fordyce on the show, he talks about when he was even a kid in high school, how he was looking at that as the benchmark of what he wanted to hit. Yeah, you know what I mean, to be seen and known. And Rufus obviously talks about it, all the time. I mean, is there a chance or a possibility of anything like that happening again?
No.
Is there just too much money involved in the game now, or what?
Well, I don't know whether it's money, but the thing that destroyed all the light tackle fishing is braid.
Right.
In my mind. Because we used to fish 6-pound test, 8-pound test. Now, 8-pound braid tests out at 32 pounds.
Right.
Why would you could cast just as well with the 8-pound diameter, but you got 30-pound test.
Right.
And so everybody, why would you go out and try to catch something on 6-pound test? Or 12 or plug. Plug was all monofilament. Nobody uses plug tackle for anything anymore. It's all artificial. Plug's artificial. Spin was 10-pound artificial. They got away from that. Now people are more into catching. You got the heavier lines. They got the braid. There's lots of bait. They've all figured out that if you cast net a whole pile of pilchers, the chumming brings the fish in really quick, and nobody plays with artificials. We used to deep jig and stuff all the time. When I was in Key West, we never even brought bait on the boat. We just got a bunch of jigs and just bounced them off the bottom. We caught all kinds of fish. That you got to run 60 miles west of Key West to do that now.
Right.
You can still do it, but nobody bothers with it. It went out of fashion. And it became, unpopular, politically incorrect to kill everything.
Right.
Because in the Met, you killed Jack Crevalle, you killed every cobia, you killed all kinds of stuff sailfish, tarpon, all kinds of things that really, there was no reason to kill them. You weren't going to eat them. You're just killing them for the tournament.
Right.
So I think that combat with that and the sponsorships and people saying, why am I going to fish this light stuff when I can catch a whole lot more and just as easily with the braid? So it was a combination of things.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see IGFA bring back the light tackle tournament in light of all those things, because now it's kind of regaining this reputation as almost kind of like a standard of the hard tournament to fish.
Yeah, it's like 12-pound. Do they have 12-pound line?
12-pound, yeah.
A sailfish and 12-pound line is a lot of fun.
So it's kind of nice to see that, and then you see who comes out for that tournament. Like nothing really but the best guys are showing up and signing up to fish that one, because those are the only guys, quite frankly, that can actually catch a fish on that kind of tackle.
Most people really like to catch things.
Yeah.
And when you're fishing the light tackle, catching is tough. It's tough.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, you get involved with this tournament, the Golden Fly.
Yeah.
Right?
I keep saying I was late for a meeting and they appointed me president.
Yeah.
And wouldn't let me resign.
And we kind of touched on it a little bit when you were on the show last time. But I really want to bring it up again because the Golden Fly for years has just been the benchmark of fly fishing tournaments, right?
Well, the Gold Cup is the benchmark. I
mean, the Gold Cup, yeah.
Gold Cup. I did the Golden Fly.
Right.
And the Golden Fly was started by the Sherman brothers and Billy Pate. And they were all older. They'd all fished the Gold Cup their whole lives. They were getting a little older, and they weren't really that hot on a 5-day super intense fishing tournament. And they were having trouble with the younger guys because some of them were just kicking their butts. So they decided they were going to have a gentleman's tournament, and it was going to be the Golden Fly, and it was only going to be 3 days. And they ran at the same time as the Gold Cup, just for the old guys who didn't want to fish the Gold Cup could go fish this. That lasted a couple of years. And then they finally moved it away from conflicting with the Gold Cup because a lot of the Gold Cup guys wanted to fish the Golden Fly. They can't fish both.
Right.
So they, made it more civilized. And eventually we moved it to, I think maybe when I got in charge of it, because I ran it for like 13 or 14 years. And when I inherited it, it was like $6,000 in debt, and nobody wanted to fish it because the year before they'd had a whole bunch of people fishing in it. The guys who were running it invited all their friends to fish it and didn't charge them.
Right.
So they had a big thing at the Chica Lodge, and they spent all this money, but since half the people fishing it weren't paying because they were friends of the Shermans or somebody, or somehow conned their way into it, or somewhere or another, the thing just went under. And the next year, nobody wanted to fish it, but they gave it to me. So now I'm stuck with this tournament with 3 guys wanting to fish it and no money. So it took a while, but we moved it to being the first tournament of the year, which is good, and just before Memorial Day weekend, because that way it was sort of the opening tournament, and everybody would come. and they'd all be happy. By the time the Gold Cup comes around, all the guys want to kill each other. But the beginning of the thing, it's the start of the tarpon season, tournament levels. Everybody was happy. Everybody's glad to see everybody. It was only 3 days. It was like a clam bake with fishing rods. And when I ran it, I didn't worry about the guys that were winning stuff having a good time. I was worried about the guy that came in from Kansas, fished 5 days for warm-ups, fished the golden flies, and caught 2 fish the whole time. I wanted him to have a good time and hardly wait to come back next year, too.
Right.
So I really tried to make it a social tournament where everybody just had a good time. And it worked because it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And when I left, the Steve Ward took over and a couple of the guys, and they're hardcore Gold Cup, so they immediately dumped the 20-pound tippet I had and went to 16, and they're measuring length and girth and all this other stuff. And, we had, I had 20-pound tippets, and we still girthed them and stuff. But it was, I wanted people to catch fish.
Sure.
I didn't want to have the skill involved. I wanted the luck to play a part of it. And, I'd have gotten a 30-pound tippet if it was legal. But we did, 20-pound mason, you can put some hurt on some fish.
Right.
So it worked out very well. Everybody had a good time. It got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now, I think the last couple of years, they've limited it to 25 people. And they got another 25 people on the waiting list.
Wow.
There aren't that many guides that know how to fish for tarpon.
Yeah.
All the good guys are booked up years in advance. And, some of the other guys are getting into it. And a lot of the guys that are just starting out make their name in these tournaments. They get in the tournament with not really one of the top anglers, and they do pretty good. And the next thing you know, their reputation is growing. You win the Gold Cup or place in the Gold Cup or the Hawley or the Golden Fly, people look at you differently.
Yeah.
So if you're a guide and you've got a couple of those wins.
Proving grounds.
Yeah, so it's good. It's worked out really well. I don't fish them anymore, but I still sponsor the Hard Luck Trophy and the Golden Fly because
you do, yeah?
I give a big print of one of my pictures, to the guy
Hard Luck Award,
to the guy that had the worst time in the whole tournament, So I remember one time we had an other fish category.
Yeah.
And somebody accidentally snagged a turtle.
Oh no.
So the best other fish was a turtle that year.
Oh.
But it was just fun, we were just having fun. So it's I miss it, but I've sort of, the tarpon fishing has changed so much. It's gotten harder and harder. The fish are smarter. I really got the tarpon fishing bug with Bill Curtis back in the maybe late 80s, early 90s or something, because I remember we were at a Rod and Reel Club meeting and Bill was there, and I was saying, I really never fly fish for tarpon. Everybody's talking about that. I'd have been more concerned about world records, so I was out at the wrecks and stuff with the tippets and stuff like that, catching amberjacks and cobias and stuff like that. And I never really got the tarpon bug. So now I'm here, and I said, I'd really like to catch a tarpon on fly, And Bill says, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, nothing. Why? He said, well, go catch a tarpon on fly. I said, it's Miami. What do you mean? He said, there's lots of tarpon in Miami. He said, there's tarpon on the flats in Miami. I didn't even know it. So he said, yeah. So he said, be at my house at 4:30. I go, 4:30? Where are we going? Isla Mirada? 4:30? And he says, yeah, shut up and be at my house at 4:30. So I get there with Bill at 4:30 in the morning, load up the boat, drive down to Black Point Marina, launches the boat. Now we're running across the Biscayne Bay, pitch dark. I'm with a 65-year-old one-eyed guide, pitch black, going 40 miles an hour across the bay. And Bill says, keep an eye out. There's a marker around here somewhere. And the next thing I know, this marker flashes by us at 40 miles an hour, about 10 feet off the side. I'm going, I'm going to die.
Wow.
I'm going to die. It's just, this is such a bad idea. So we get out to what they call Curtis Point, which is Rhodes Key, basically. We turn around, it's 5:30 in the morning or something like that, pitch dark, and a light goes on. There's another guy there already. There's another boat beat us to it.
Come on.
You guys are all crazy. So, we go over, we sort of mutter over to him. They go, oh, Captain Curtis, you just set up whatever you want and we'll get in our spot. I mean, he had a lot of respect from the guys.
Sure did.
And this was an Ocean Reef guide or something. I don't know who it was, but, we got our spot. They got their spot. We're happy. Bunch of tarpon coming by. And again, we're losing 12-pound tippets, 100-pound tippets, 12-pound chalk tip, 12-pound tournament tippets, and like 180-pound shock tip, and a big, huge fly on a 4 or 5/0 hook and stuff like that. And sure enough, I hooked a couple of big tarpon and lost them. I caught one about 80 pounds on a 10 weight. I go, this is sort of fun.
Right.
So I kept doing it with Bill and got into the tournament, started doing it with the guys in Key West and Alamorada and stuff like that. I fished with Rick Murphy a lot and stuff. And, it was fun. I sort of got the bug, and now I'm really interested in tarpon fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the most spectacular type of fly fishing you can do, is you're on the flats, you're up on a little tiny casting platform, crystal clear water, you see a string of tarpon coming down the Atlantic, and you got to put the fly in just the right spot, and they eat. You can see them come up and snarf it in, you set the hook, and they start going crazy. It's spectacular.
Yeah.
It really is.
Tarpon are a lot of fun.
Yeah, on the flats, they're amazing. In deep water, they're a lot of work, but
yeah,
on the flats, they're wonderful.
Yeah, tarpon, it's a beautiful fish. It's a beautiful fish to catch. I mean,
yeah, it's changed so much, though.
I kind of wanted to talk to you about that, the change in all this, and not even just. I mean, I know we like to talk about on some level, conservation and past versus present and all that kind of good stuff. Like the way things were, the way things are, the way things are going to be. But we discussed even on the phone the other day just a little bit about the different pressure that the fish are under too, because of the population here.
Well, I work with the Bonefish Tarpon Trust a lot. I'm on their advisory board, and they're a good bunch of guys who are doing a lot of research. They're really making some improvements, getting no fish zones during the permit season down off Key West and stuff. And they've done a lot of good work and a lot of research, and they're trying to get the bonefish back, and they're trying to help the tarpon and everything else. But around 2000, late 90s, 2000, Bill Curtis said, there's probably 10% of the tarpon that I was seeing in the 70s now going down the coast, off Miami. They all stage up in Government Cut and they gradually go south. Mm-hmm. He says 10% of the ones I used to see in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. 10%. That was 2000 or 1998 or something like that. I swear now, last couple of years, there's 10% of the tarpon that I was seeing in 2000.
Yeah.
So Bill described scenes where he was the only boat out there. There would be a pod of 50 to 500 tarpon every quarter mile from Government Cut all the way down to Key Largo, just going one after another after another. And of course, they're throwing these big ugly flies that couldn't rent a fish on today, and they were hooking up continually. It was magical. It was like I saw that, offshore Key West, because I was more interested in the offshore stuff than the tarpon. But back then, the wrecks that were close in, you had 60, 70-pound cobia coming up. I caught a 67-pound, 4-ounce cobia with trosset on an 8-pound tippet back in 1984. And I don't think that record will ever be beaten. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of 67-pound cobia around. And if somebody sees one, they're not going to throw a fly at it.
8-pound.
And they're not going to have an 8-pound tippet on it.
Yeah.
So I think that one is there like forever. But that's what we had back then. We had big, huge fish and lots of them. Now you're struggling to catch a legal cobia, 36 inches to the fork. It's hard to catch one that's legal. Yeah. Caught a whole bunch the other day, and we want one that was barely 36 inches. Well, it's the 36 inches. We're going to eat it because they taste good.
Right.
But back in the day, they just destroyed them. When the Lorans came out, like we had all these secret wrecks. The Lorans came out. We tried to keep them secret, but a lot of the guys would figure out about where we were, and they'd come out. They'd let us get out there, get set, and then they'd come out and they'd just spot you, and they'd aim right for you. And if they could come right on you before you could unanchor on the wreck, they'd punch the numbers in. There was one guy down in Key West called Fishing Farmer, and he did that. He caught a couple of guys on the wrecks, Delph or Trosset or somebody, and he went back out to that same wreck with 50-pound line and killed every cobia on the wreck, brought it back and sell it. And we wonder why there's no cobia.
Right. It's Bouncer talks all the time. He tells me, he's like, Dennis, because I used to see so many tarpon, just right off the beach in Miami and Hollywood and everything. He's like, He goes, you just don't see that. I used to just see them lines of tarpon going out, and you just don't see it anymore. And then he even says that one of the biggest reasons that he retired was he just got sick of feeding tarpon to sharks.
Yeah. And the sharks. Sharks. I was talking to Rodney Barreto, who's the chairman of the FWC, and he said the number one complaint we get at FWC is the sharks.
Yeah. Actually, the interesting thing you bring him over, we're actually supposed to have Rodney on the show pretty soon.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
Really into everything, really into fishing, and just
so he's saying a lot of people are talking about that.
He said people were talking about sharks. That's what the complaint is. There's so many sharks. We can't kill the shark.
What are his thoughts on it, though? Did he share that with you?
He's not. No, he's keeping those cards close to the vest.
I guess we're not going to go there.
He just nods his head and agrees with you and says, a lot of complaints, no solutions. But, now they got so many shark species are protected. And I think black tips and lemons and
sandbars,
curry, the bulls. I think.
Well, the bulls you can take one.
Yeah, you can catch booze. I know, but
no one does it.
Chrissy Wahibi.
No one does it because you don't want to bring that thing onto your deck.
No, they try to kill you. That. Chrissy Wahibi with the Jose Wahibi Foundation is running a bull shark tournament in April, which is pretty cool. Catch a bull shark, bring it up the boat, take a picture of it, let it go. And those are the only fish you can target. So it's the only fish in the tournament. And they got a flats division and an offshore division and stuff. But it's sort of a unique concept. But
she was in here a couple months ago talking about that tournament. And, and she was real excited about it.
Yeah.
And she just wanted to let everyone know that, it's just, we're not doing anything wrong, and we're doing everything possible to also just raise awareness to a situation as well. So
it's interesting to count the sharks they catch because you can't put a bait out and say bull sharks.
Data.
Bull shark only needs apply. So you're going to catch a few other things. It'll be interesting to see, the different species when they're actually counted.
Yeah.
And stuff. So the only ones that count for the tournament are the bulls, but everybody's going to keep track of whatever else they catch just for record keeping and conservation.
Yep.
And
so and that's another thing too. Whenever we talk about this, with whether it's Doug Coven or Fly and all this stuff like that, and anytime we raise any questions or problems to any of the higher up organizations, they're always like, where's the data? We don't see the data. They just, it's hearsay. And then the scientists go out to the wrong areas, too deep of water or what have you.
And see
just
nothing
example,
and say, I don't know what they're talking about.
Sharks. Exactly. Well, come in the 150, 200 with me and see how many sailfish they're eating.
Yeah, they're eating sailfish. You can't, I used to do a lot of snapper fishing with RT Trossett down in Key West. And we used to go down there. We used to pump muttons and groupers and all kinds of stuff. Now you get first mutton in, you get the second mutton in. You might get the third mutton in. You won't get another one.
Yeah.
The sharks find you right away. Same thing with the wrecks. They'd go out on the wrecks and chum with the live pilchers to get the blackfin tuna up. And you used to be able to catch them on fly. You catch them on light tackle. All kinds of really fun stuff with the tunas. Now, RT fishes like 30 or 40 pound braid on a spinning rod.
Yeah.
And you'll get the first one in. You get the second one in. You'll not get the third one in, and you'll never get another one. These 400-pound sharks just
once they come, they don't leave.
They sit right under the boat, and they're so smart. They sit under the boat. You hook the fish up. They don't chase it. They just sit there and say, you're going to tire it out and bring it right back to us, or we're going to eat it 30 feet from the boat when you bring it up to land it.
Yeah, easy pickings.
Yeah, but you don't catch any. And it's just like there was a guy saying he had a friend out in Rufus's area up in the bull shark barge or some wreck they had up there, and they were catching permit. He said he caught 14 permit before he got one in the boat. Well, they were all eaten by sharks. So why do you keep doing that?
Crazy. You're just killing
all
fish.
All you're doing is killing permit and feeding sharks. Don't you figure it out? The sharks have, got you lined up. And then you catch one, you take pictures of it. I got my permit, put it in the water. Shark eats it 20 feet from the boat as it's swimming away because it's tired.
Yeah.
And they don't figure that out. They're just killing permit to feed sharks.
Yeah.
Do something else.
Everything changed when they changed the laws and when they changed with which fish or which, and they did the commercial long line of the shark line when they changed that, and they opened up the sandbars. And when they opened up the sandbars, that was really a big change to it. But
what do you mean open up the sandbars?
Like when they said you're not allowed to.
To
close take them
they close the sandbars.
Well, that's what I mean. When they opened them up to be free.
Yeah, you can't catch anything with teeth now.
Right.
But it's a problem. You go out and
it's a big problem.
The same thing with the tarpon. They'll eat the tarpon.
Yep.
It's pretty scary. You see a 14-foot hammerhead coming in and eating a tarpon.
Yeah.
It's a pretty scary thing to watch.
Yeah, it is.
They bite a 100-pound tarpon in half. You can't cut a tarpon in half with a chainsaw. And they'll bite it right in half.
Those tarpon hammerhead fights are just brutal.
Oh,
yeah.
They're amazing. I was talking to the guys, and I said, I'd really like to get in the water with one of those big schools of tarpon we see coming down the white sand, like off, Bahia Honda or something like that, up in the sand. We'll get up in the flats, you'll see them coming. I'll just float in the water, and they'll hopefully come right by me. He goes, not on my boat.
That'd be the worst place to
No,
jump
we don't
in.
want a boat because these things are going to blast into I've seen hammerheads come in and hit a school of tarpon, and the tarpon look like mullet. Ugh. They're 100-pound fish, and they're acting like mullet, just greyhound jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
And they said, they come in there, and the first thing he sees is you floating there, and you ain't running away. You're going to get bit.
Right.
So I said, yeah, that's a good point. I haven't done that.
No.
Haven't done that. Not going to swim with those things.
And you'll go down with all the tiger sharks, though.
Well, that's over in Tiger Beach.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's an interesting place. But they have 15-foot tiger sharks that come in regularly, and the guides feed them. I have a friend, Eli Martinez, that runs a thing called Shark Diver Magazine. It started out as a magazine, but it's not really a magazine. Right. Now it's just a travel company. And he goes to all kinds of neat places.
Yeah.
And
how much do you think that contributes to, if at all, to any of the shark problem that we're...
Oh, it's a small area of, I don't even know where it is in the Bahamas. And
the Bahamas one might be.
Run out of Palm Beach and run straight across, and it's somewhere West End or something. I don't know where it is. We're on a boat. I don't even know where we are.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people are up in arms about the guys up in Jupiter and all the operations that they're doing.
I've seen that, and I've dove with those sharks.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's making any difference at all.
Right.
Because they're very careful. They use really old, dead, stinky chum. Rotten bonitas, frozen, refrozen. They want it really sort of not rotten, stinky, but just old and not bloody. Nothing's new. And they put it in a crate and they throw it over, and you see the sharks come in, and it's like driving by a McDonald's. It's not much, but it's free and cheap and easy, and maybe there's something here. So they come in real docile, smelling stuff, looking around. They don't really feed them. They just have them come in on this little chum thing. And they swim around, and I'm swimming around right with them. Mm-hmm. And they said, don't swim directly at the bull sharks because you'll scare them away.
Right.
And I go, okay. And a bull shark comes up. You swim right at the bull shark with a camera, trying to get that head-on shot. Bull shark goes nuts, swims away, leaves you. So you got to swim underneath the sharks and come up with them, next to them, so they think you're just another shark swimming up. Okay.
Interesting.
These are bull sharks. Bull sharks are squirrely. I've had some... I don't like bull sharks.
Close calls?
Yeah, not really. I didn't get bit or anything, but I've had them, turn on me for a little bit. Turn on me and come at me, and they go, no, that's not it, and go back away. Looking at that on a video later on, saying, I didn't even see that guy coming at me.
Yeah.
And so that gets a little hairy. They've tightened up those rules too now. They make you stay on the rope. Of course, I knew the owner that started that stuff, so I would, Hunter Ledbetter and I used to go down there, and we just jump in the water and swim all around with them and play with them. Now they want you on the rope, but they don't feed. If anybody's not on the rope, they won't feed, and they keep it very very careful and very safe.
Yeah,
their insurance company probably played a role in that. I don't never heard of anybody getting bit in any of these shark derbies, but I don't think I've asked that a lot, and I think
there was one last year, wasn't there? Like in the Bahamas, I think. Or was
guys in the Bahamas, spear fishermen get bit all the time. If you're spear fishing,
no, I mean from one of these groups.
Yeah,
but. I think there was one. I think it was like some doctor from Houston.
That guy was killed.
Yeah.
He was in Tiger Beach.
Right.
And he was a guy. I don't know friends that knew him.
Okay.
And he was just getting into underwater photography and was really good at it and loved it. He was a chiropractor, I think. So he came on the Tiger Beach thing, which is spectacular, just spectacular. It's 15-foot tiger sharks that are eating out of Eli's hand and stuff. It's like wow. So. They went on a night dive. Now you're in water that's crystal clear, and you're looking for sharks. And Eli would always say, "Keep your head on a swivel," because they like to ambush. They come in from behind you. They come in behind you to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
You turn to look at them, and they'll go and they run away.
Yeah.
But they're coming up behind you, and they don't have hands.
Right.
So the only way they can find out what you are is to take a little test. And the guys were out on a night dive, and you're in an area where you've been chumming sharks all day long.
Right.
and you're now swimming at night where you got no visibility other than a little light.
Was he with the group? Or
He was with the group, and he just never came back.
Huh.
And so they don't really know what happened to him. But I think they found some of his equipment with bite marks on him. So he may have, had a tank problem and drowned or something like that, and then was picked on by the sharks later, or a shark might have hit him. They just don't know.
Wow, that's crazy.
But I had one incident where I was coming back to the boat, and they tell you very specifically, swim along the bottom.
Yeah.
It's all tank dive. Swim along the bottom, get right under the boat, come straight up, and get on the ladder and get out as soon as you can.
Right.
So naturally, I'm coming in, and I spotted something interesting, and there were some guys ahead of me. So I'm floating around the surface like you're not supposed to do. And another guy was on the timeline, where the decomp line.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw me, and he said, one of the tiger sharks, the one they call Hook, followed me all the way up. And I stayed up there, and the shark he's got pictures of the shark coming up sort of behind me. And I went up, and I got 1 foot on the ladder. I handed my camera up, and the shark came up and hit me in the rear end, knocked me out of the water. If he'd opened his mouth, I'd have been dead.
Really?
He came up and knocked me right up into the air. Hit me right in my rear end.
Really?
Yeah.
You almost had a nice bite in the ass.
If he'd opened his mouth, I'd have lost my hamstring or my buttocks or something like that. I'd have been dead.
I have one policy that always helps me avoid any situation like that. I don't go diving in the water with sharks.
Well, that's what that's the first rule on how to avoid shark attacks is don't go in the water.
But, you ever been in the water diving with sharks?
Yeah, down in St. Martin, like 65 feet down with the reef sharks over there.
Yeah.
Yeah? Was it fun?
It's a pretty neat experience.
Yeah?
They're pretty cool under the water.
Mm-hmm.
They're like jet planes. The way they move is just really, really good.
Yeah.
But anyway,
good.
We're feeding them off sticks and stuff like that.
Yeah. The guys who were on the boat.
Your first time when you did that, were you like just scared shitless?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Were you scared before you went down? You remember?
I just did a stupid thing because I'm not certified.
Okay.
Flying, drinking. I did 3 dives that day because I had to show like a 45-foot wreck dive, another dive, and if I did all these dives, I could do the 65-foot dive.
Yeah.
Well, come on, guys. It's not really the right way to do it. You're supposed to take time in between each and stuff like that. So I did all that, and then I went down, and it was good. I just don't know how to clear. I'm being on, I didn't get taught, so I'm down there, and I'm having just a little bit of a kind of a panic a little bit because I'm trying to clear.
Right.
So I had to get pulled, because
you're looking up, and you see that's far away. The top.
That was down in Turks and Caicos when I went further for my first time. I just think I did too much that time down in St. Martin when I was, I had to prove myself to go down with a shark, but it was kind of neat. But they're not doing it how they're saying to do it with his. We had to go down a line 30 feet and go across 60. It was down 30, across 30. We had to follow these lines to get to the area where we were going to feed them.
Okay.
And then we just took it from there and sat on cinder blocks, holding on, and I had, feed them off sticks in front of your face, kind of.
Yeah. The first time I ever did it was in Long Key in the Bahamas. This was a million years ago.
Right.
And I went down there, mostly black tips and reef sharks and stuff. And we were doing it. And in the beginning, it's like, oh, sharks, wow. And then after a while, they're swimming by you and you get acclimated to them and you go, oh, these are fun. I was out in the middle of the sharks. They got so mad at me because I was out with my camera trying to get pictures of the sharks swimming around the guys because they'd swim right next to you. So the people were all lined up on this little reef, and I wanted to get pictures of the sharks, swimming in and out of the people. So I had to go out with the sharks. Oh, they went nuts. But
yeah, I'm cool.
But it was I've never really been afraid of them or something. I mean, I was harassed. There's another shark at Tiger Beach called Emma, which is the biggest one. She's 1,500 pounds if she's an ounce.
Ugh.
And
tiger?
15 tiger. Her head's about 3 feet wide between the eyes. And Eli comes down and feeds him. Well, one day, she started coming over to me. And I don't know why she was coming over to me. I was with about a dozen other photographers who were all kneeling on the sand. Eli's in the middle with the food.
Yeah.
And this shark would leave Eli and come straight to me. Well, she'd come to me, and she'd look at me, and she'd swim right up to me. I would roll back, mouth would open, and I'd hit her in the face with my camera.
I would roll back, huh?
I would roll back,
wow.
Mouth was open, coming right in on me. And I don't have any food, leave me alone. And push her off, and she'd go back and 10 minutes later, she'd come back to me again.
Oh, man.
And then she started coming straight to me, well, not even going to Eli. I mean, I don't know why she had this love affair with me, but I was getting a little concerned because I paid to take pictures of them. I didn't pay to pet them.
Yeah.
And it was pretty. They got some pretty cool pictures of me pushing her away and say, "Oh, look, he's biting your camera. He's getting hit in the face with the camera because I can buy a new camera. I can't buy a new hand."
Dude, that must have been nerve-wracking.
It was. And when I got up, because I'd gone in earlier than everybody else. Hunter and I were always in the water way before everybody. So we got in there and got back up, and I was saying, God, the shark wouldn't leave me alone. And one of the guys said, "Oh, yeah, we were cleaning fish on the table. I think you stepped in some of the fish guts on your way into the water." I said, "And you didn't tell me?"
Right.
So I got like yellowtail guts stuck in my flipper or something that it was just that smell was enough to, set me out ahead of everybody else for the shark.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah,
but
I'm good.
It's a little hairy, but
you got to be careful. I don't have to be careful.
It's pretty invigorating. I retired from that. I figured I've done that. I haven't gotten hurt, so I'm not doing sharks anymore.
Yeah. No, you're done with the shark thing?
I'm done with the shark things. You know what's the other thing that's really fascinating for divers is the Goliath grouper spawn off Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
That's very nice. You'll have 24 to 600 pound Goliath groupers around a wreck.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting to dive with those things. Yeah. Because you can go up 5 feet from them. They're not going to bother you. They're not afraid of you. They can't eat you. They're just sitting there looking at you.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Big lumps.
Yeah, big lumps. But those with the background of the wrecks and stuff is really, really, if you're a diver and you like to do that type of stuff, something interesting, that's a really exciting dive. It goes from the middle of August to the middle of September.
Yeah. That's cool. You've been traveling. I mean, you went recently to Alaska after the Galapagos trip, and you went somewhere else. Where'd you go after that Galapagos trip, before Alaska?
I don't remember.
You go travel all
I'm traveling.
All
I go
the time.
somewhere.
That's like all you do now, right?
Yeah.
You just travel.
I don't have a job.
You're all over the place.
So I just go places.
I can't even keep track of you.
Well,
you did do your Alaska trip.
I do Alaska every year.
Every year you do
Actually,
that.
I spend almost a month in Alaska every year.
Right.
There's a lodge called Hoodoo Lodge that we go for king salmon on fly, which is spay casting, which is a whole different system, which is sort of interesting because I had to learn that.
Right.
Then I go to Rainbow King Lodge, which a friend of mine owns, and that's spectacular. If there's one lodge to go to in Alaska for your first time, go to Rainbow King. The website is rainbowking.com.
Where's that?
It's in Iliamna. It's a fly-out lodge. They fly you out every day. You can catch all kinds of different fish, and it's actually cheaper than most of the 5-star lodges, and it's run by really good guys. The pilots and planes are spectacular, and depending on where you go, July is completely different than September.
Yeah.
In September, you get the big rainbows that come out of the lakes into the rivers, and but in July, you get the beginning sockeye run where there's thousands of sockeyes, silver sockeyes in the water. And they also have offshore fishing for halibut and stuff at a place. And, they've got, what do you want to catch tomorrow?
Right.
So, we got salmon, we got halibut, we've got grayling. They've got a little river with grayling where you get these trophy-sized grayling, 20-inch grayling on little dry flies on 3-weight rods and stuff, which is really fun. You'll catch 40 a day. And they have silver salmon in season. They have king salmon in the beginning. They have sockeye salmon. And they have rainbow trout and stuff. So, I usually go in September because that's when the big trout are there. I like the big trout. And so we get there, and they'll say, what do you want to catch tomorrow? They go, well, I'd like to catch rainbows. I like to do some rainbow fish. Well, you want a lot of medium-sized rainbows, like, 16 to 22 inches? Or do you want a shot at a 30-incher? 30-incher, you're not going to catch a lot. You may catch some 27s, 28s. You might catch a 30, but you're not going to catch a ton of fish.
Yeah.
With the mediums, you'll do that. So somebody will say, okay, well, I'd just like to catch a lot of them. I like the medium ones. The 20-inch rainbow is a really nice fish. They say, fine. Do you want it with or without bears? Because the bears are walking around in September. The bears are all down eating the red sockeye.
Right.
In the rivers. And the rainbows are in eating the sockeye eggs.
So you want with bears because you want to get that on
film.
I
want the bears. I love the bears. I love the bears. These big, huge brown bears are just walking right up and down the river right next to you.
Yeah.
And it's pretty impressive. Seeing
you got some pretty good shots of those too.
Yeah, you seeing an 800-pound grizzly bear walk up to you. It's okay.
What's the closest you ever got to one of those things?
Oh, I've probably 15 feet.
Come on.
Walked right by me, yeah.
What?
Yeah, they're the way they describe
Dude,
it.
that's a beast.
Oh, they're humongous.
Like the definition of the word beast in the earth.
Yeah, it's an 800-pound grizzly bear.
Tear you
And
up.
it's walking right next to you. So the bears, the way they describe it, the head guide at Rainbow King really does a good job. He says, look, we're fishing national parks, so you can't bring a gun in or anything else.
Right.
But you're fishing national parks. These bears live in the national parks. They live on the coast. They're salmon bears. They feed primarily on salmon. Now, the upland bears, where they're hunting caribou and moose babies and stuff, that's a different animal. But these are down here. They're eating salmon. They've been born in the park. Their mother's taken them down, walked them up and down the rivers, told them which berries to eat, how to catch the salmon, how to eat the salmon, stuff like that. All the time they're walking up being trained by their mother, there's people fishing. Not once has mommy said, those things are really good to eat.
Yeah.
Let's get one of them, really have a feast. So they've grown up with people fishing, and, the people aren't bothering them, and they've got no training or inclination to eat you or hurt you or do anything except just let you do your thing. So it's really very peaceful.
All right. Pat Ford, ladies and gentlemen, wrestles grizzly bears, strangles tiger sharks.
No, I used to wrestle alligators back in my day.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Come on.
I did.
You going to wrestle some alligators up in Gainesville for your bass fishing trip?
I think they're going to be a little cold tomorrow.
Yeah.
But no, I had a client that was the son of the Miccosukee Indian alligator wrestler, Bobby Tiger. Spencer Tiger was his name. Bobby Tiger was the alligator wrestler. He taught me to do the whole show. I could go in there and pull one out and wrestle it and turn
the
it
palm open on the nose kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that stuff. It was fun. I had a death wish back then. I attribute that to my first wife.
Getting all that?
Yeah. Yep.
Man, hey. Thanks for coming in today.
All right. Well, it's fun.
Yeah.
I'll do this all the time. I could, I've been in, Florida since 1971 fishing, and I love the fishing. I love the water, and I morphed from fishing into the photography and the writing and stuff like that. I was always writing. I was always writing articles after my trips, because I would go in there and I'd write off my trip as a business expense from the firm or something, So I'd write a nice story, and, eventually a guy said, look, you've got all these stories of your trips. Why don't you put them all together in a book? So I said, okay. And put a bunch of stories together, sent it out, and Stackpole bought the first one. And it's called The Best Fly Fishing Trips Money Can Buy. And that was around 2000 or something. Mm-hmm. And I just put all my travels, into a book in chapters, and I would explain to you everything you needed to know about this trip. When to go.
Right.
What tackle you needed. Who to fish with. What the best lodges were. And stuff. So the idea was at the end of a chapter, you could sit down, make a phone call, and set up your trip. And it was sort of helpful. It was a lot of fun to do. And a lot of people have said, hey, I went on a lot of your trips that you mentioned in the book.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same thing. And I had the second book, and then I did all the photography for Andy Millen on the Tarpon book, and wrote a couple of chapters for that. And if anybody has a book that they're doing, I have so many people help me with my books that anybody's doing a book and they need photos or they need an article or something, they just call me.
Yeah.
More than happy to do it.
Yeah, and I'll also say I'll never forget the one thing you told me like a long time ago. Because I think it was one of the first times I met you. It might have been at actually a Bonefish Tarpon Trust event down at the IGFA or something like that, right? And I remember you saying like you were looking at my artwork and everything like that. And he goes, by the way, if you ever want to use any of my photos for reference, no problem. But just call me and ask me first. Like that. And remember that as a courtesy. And I never forgot that. I'm like, what? That's absolutely.
That's all they have to do.
That's it. And I always thought that was actually a generous thing to say.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Photos are there. If somebody wants to paint them, especially somebody with your talent. I mean, I'm honored to have them want to paint one of my photos. And, a lot of the guys do.
Yeah.
And it's, I think everybody does. Sooner or later they'll say, hey, you got a couple of good snook pictures. I'm doing a snook picture or something like that, and I'll send them to them. And they'll send me a print maybe or something, or just show me the thing. And, I love to do it. If I can help somebody,
that's awesome.
That's great. If somebody with my pictures that I put on Facebook or something like that, or email around, and I figure if I can brighten somebody's day who's in Omaha in the winter or something like that by showing them a bunch of fish pictures and, good.
Yeah, that's
cool.
cool.
A good deal.
That's cool. All right, Pat.
So it's good.
Man, thank you so much for coming in. If anyone, listen, follow Pat Ford on every social channel you can find. I mean, you really just put out like the most outstanding content, and your trips are fun to follow too. And you're just putting photos out all the time, and just great stuff. Really.
No good taking photos unless somebody sees them.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Works.
Totally true.
Works good.
Yeah. So thank you very much,
Dennis. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a great walkabout up to Gainesville, and Arlene, thank you for hanging out with us here today. And Carlene, I just put that together. Carlene and Arlene.
You're so pretty, Dennis.
Thanks. So, all right.
It's liven the place up. All right, my man.
So we're going to end this like we always do, right?
If I catch a 15-pound bass next week, I'll be back and we can have another story.
So one thing I want to do too is we're talking about we're just doing like multi-level different like bonefish, tarpon, and trust episodes, and getting some people from that because we want to really start spotlighting that organization more. So maybe you can come sit at the table. We can get like a group, BTT group going.
I don't have a job.
All right,
I can come anytime.
Perfect.
Unless I'm fishing.
Unless you're fishing. Unless you're in Alaska. Unless you're in Tropic Star. Unless you're in
somewhere
the Amazon catching peacocks.
Yeah.
You never know.
Something.
So, all right, your ego is not your amigo. Always do your best, and at the end of the day, just let God do the rest. And do not ever forget that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we're all connected by water.
Amen.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, gentlemen.